whether there is a Holy Spirit. And he said to them, into what were you baptized? So they said, in John's baptism. Then Paul said, John would be baptized with the baptism of repentance, saying to people that they should believe on him who would come after him, that is, on Christ Jesus. And when they heard this, they were baptized in the name of the Lord Jesus.
Morning, church. I'll take that feedback away. There we go. That's better. This up a bit. All right. It's good to be with you. If you haven't already, please fill out the attendance cards and pass to the center aisle. Or you're going to pick them up. While I'm our announcement period. Thank you, Brother Dave, for that fine reading out of Acts 19. That's where our sermon text is going to come from today. And the title for today's lesson, if you haven't seen the books already, is Does Evil Recognize You? Does Evil Recognize You? You know, in the book of Luke, verse 6, verse 45, the Bible says, the good man out of a good treasure of his heart brings forth what is good. And the evil man out of his evil treasure brings forth what is evil. For his mouth speaks for that which is evil in his heart. Also in the book of Proverbs, verse 17 and 20, the Bible says, he who has crooked mind finds no good, and he who is perverted in his language. As we go through this chapter in Acts, we're going to see the evil recognizes what is good and what is not good, what is evil. But the characters in this chapter we're going to see are Apollos, Paul, Erastus, Timothy, the Jews and Greeks, Alexander, Demetrius, and the idol that is worshipped in this area is called Artemis, and some versions called Diana. And we see that evil recognizes those who are with Jesus and those who are against him. So for our first point for today, Paul found disciples in Ephesus. We're going to see this in verses 1 through 10. It says, when the Bible reads, and it happened that while Apollos was at Corinth, Paul passed through the upper country and came to Ephesus and found some disciples. He said to them, did you receive the Holy Spirit when you believed? And they said to him, no, we have not even heard whether there is a Holy Spirit. And he said, into what then were you baptized? And they said, into John's baptism. In verse 4, Paul said, but John baptized with the baptism of repentance, telling the people to believe in him who was coming after him, and that is Jesus. In verse 5, when he had heard this, they were baptized in the name of Jesus, Lord Jesus. And when Paul had laid his hands upon them, the Holy Spirit came on them, and they began speaking with tongues and prophesying. There were in all about 12 men, and he entered the synagogue and continued speaking out boldly for 3 months, reasoning and persuading them about the kingdom of God. But when some were becoming hardened in disobedience, speaking evil of the way before the people, he withdrew from them and took away the disciples, reasoning daily in the spirit of Tyrannus. This took place for 2 years, so that all who lived in Asia heard the word of God, both Jews and Greeks. So we see, starting out, the disciples of John the Baptist recognized who John was referencing. They were referencing Jesus. And we notice that once they realized that they had to be baptized with Jesus, they were baptized for not just repentance, but for in the name of Jesus, that Paul was able to lay hands on them. And the Holy Spirit came on them, and they were able to do things like prophesy and speak in other languages, referring to tongues. So we see that after that, they immediately wanted to spread the word, and this occurred in the temple of Tyrannus. Now, Tyrannus, if you look up the name Tyrannus, it's a nickname for tyrant. Not the guy, that's what the school is named after, this guy who's Tyrannus. But we notice that the people in this temple, what was the reaction to when they were hearing the truth? They didn't have the reaction of those previous John the Baptist disciples. What they had a reaction to, their reaction was, they hardened their hearts, they were disobedient, and they began speaking evil of the way. So the people who believed in Jesus, they immediately were speaking evil of them. But it's interesting that Paul stayed there for 2 years despite the resistance he was getting. Even and with the help of the disciples. But they too had to move on after that was going on. But we see that he found disciples in Ephesus. That was the first thing we found. The second point for today that we see is that miracles by Paul's hand. Verses 11 through 22. It says, God was performing extraordinary miracles by the hands of Paul, so that handkerchiefs or aprons were even carried from his body. To the sick, the disciples left him, and evil spirits went out. But also some of the Jewish exorcists who went from place to place attempted to name over those who had evil spirits in the name of the Lord Jesus, saying, I adjure you by Jesus from whom Paul preaches. The 7 sons of Sceva and the Jewish chief priests were doing this. And the evil spirit answered and said to them, I recognize Jesus, and I know about Paul, but who are you? And the man in whom the evil spirit leapt on them and subdued them, all of them, and overpowered them so that they fled out of the house, naked and wounded. So we see that Paul's power came from God. It wasn't that Paul just had this power. And it was so powerful that not only was he performing miracles with his physical hands, but it was just, they touched the cloth, the handkerchiefs, going back to his healing people. That wasn't for no reason. It was because this is a way to get attention to the gospel. But we see these sons of Sceva tried to do the same thing, but they didn't do exactly the same thing because they said, well, we're mixing this Jesus that Paul talks about in that name. But notice that this evil spirit, this evil recognized that these people were not of Jesus. And they didn't profess what Paul was professing, which was from Jesus. Evil recognizes what is true, and this evil recognized that these people were false. You know, it's interesting, by way of example, if you go back to 1 Samuel chapter 28 and 5 through 10, you'll see an account where King Saul tried to see what they call spiritual. So let's turn real quick to see this example. This idea of when spirits recognize what is true versus what is false. If you go to 1 Samuel, you're going to see an account here of what King Saul was trying to do. So in 1 Samuel chapter 28, let's look at me real quickly what the Bible says about this. So starting in verse 3, it says, Now Samuel was dead, so that was the priest Samuel. And all of Israel lamented him and buried him in Ramah, his own city. And Saul had removed from the land those who were mediums and spiritists. So people who were practicing mediums and spiritists, which quote we talked today, he had them removed from the land. So if you go to verse 5, it says, When Saul saw the camp of the Philistines, he was afraid and his heart was trembled greatly. When Saul inquired of the Lord did not answer him, either by dreams or by the umum of the prophets. When Saul said to his servants, Seek for me a woman who is a medium. Now, isn't that interesting? He already kicked these mediums out of the land. So then the first thing he was, let me find me a medium. And may I go to her and inquire of her? And his servants said to him, Behold, there is a woman who is a medium and indoor. And Saul disguised himself by putting on other clothes and went, and he and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night and said, Conjure up for me, please, and bring up for me whom I shall name to you. And the woman said to him, Behold, you know Saul has done. He has cut off those who are mediums and spiritists from his land. Why are you laying a snare for me, for my life, to bring about my death? Saul vowed to her by the Lord, saying, as the Lord lives, no punishment shall come upon you. Now we see, if you go down to 11 through 20, then the woman said, whom shall I bring up for you? And he said, bring up for me Samuel for me. And the reason why he did this is because Samuel was Saul's advisor, and because Samuel was dead, he felt like that was the only way to reach God. So he said, bring for me Samuel from the dead. When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out with a loud voice, and the woman spoke to Saul, saying, why you deceived me, for you are Saul. So the reason why this woman was surprised, this medium was a fake. But when she actually did what she normally does, something actually happened. But look what it says next in verse 13. The king said to her, do not be afraid of what you see. And the woman said to Saul, I see a divine being coming out from the earth. And he said to her, what is his form? And she said, an old man is coming up, and he is wrapped with a robe. And Saul knew that it was Samuel. And he bowed with his face to the ground and did homage. In verse 15 it says, Samuel said to Saul, why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? And Saul answered, I am greatly distressed, for the Philistines are waging war against me, and God has departed from me. No longer answers me, either through prophets or by dreams. Therefore I call you, that you make known to me what you should do. Saul said, why then do you ask me, since the Lord has departed from me and become your adversary? In verse 17, the Lord has done according as he spoke through me. The Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hand and given it to your neighbor, to be David. As you did not obey the Lord and did not execute his fierce wrath against Amalek, so that God, the Lord, has done this thing to you this day. Moreover, the Lord will also give Israel along into the hands of the Philistines. Therefore tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. Indeed, the Lord will give over the army of Israel to the hands of the Philistines. Then it says that Saul immediately fell full length upon the ground and was very afraid because of the words of Samuel. Also, there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no food all day and all night. So we see by example, even this false spirit, this medium, recognized what was true. And Saul went to consult people that he shouldn't have been consulting, because he knew he was being a hypocrite, kicking him out of the land and then saying, I want to consult the medium. The point of getting back to our text in the book of Acts is that we know that evil recognizes what is true and good, and what conversely is evil as well. But we see the result of all that Paul was doing here in Ephesus was that Jesus was magnified. And we're going to see that in verse 17, going back to our text in Acts 19. And it says that when all took hold of, verse 17, chapter 19, this became known to all both Jews and Greeks who lived in Ephesus, that fear fell among all them, and the name of the Lord Jesus became magnified. Many also who had believed kept coming, confessing disclosing their practices. And many of those who practiced magic brought their books together and began burning them in the sight of everyone, that they counted up the price of them and found to be 50,000 pieces of silver, so that the word of the Lord was growing mightily and prevailing. You've got to understand, you see what's happening here? These people who were practicing sorcery, this is an example of repentance. You want to know what repentance looks like? It's this right here. They burned books that were worth $50,000, 50,000 silver coins. I don't know if it's in dollars, but it's a lot of money back then, because this was pure silver. They said the silver that came from this area was purified. It was Roman silver. And they burned their books, so it told out that amount. That's what repentance is like. They're not going back. They recognized who Jesus was because they heard about this event that happened with these Jews. You see, that's what happens when something is true. And they recognized what was evil. They wanted to do what was good. So they threw away what they knew was false. That's repentance. They walked with, they burned their works. They were worth some money. And we also see there are those that recognize defenders of Armetes and Diana denied Jesus for profit. You don't think we see people today that deny Jesus for profit? We're going to see what it says in the text. So in verse 23, the Bible reads, about that time there occurred no small disturbance according to the way. And the way we're talking about those who are following Jesus. For a man named Demetrius, the silversmith who made silver shrines for Artemis, was bringing no little business to the craftsmen. These he gathered together with the workmen of similar trades and said, men, you know our prosperity depends upon this business. You see and hear not only in Ephesus, but in almost all of Asia, this Paul has persuaded and turned away a considerable number of people, saying that gods made with hands are not gods at all. Not only is there danger that this trade of ours fell into dispute, but also the temple of our great goddess Artemis be regarded as worthless, and that she, whom all of Asia and the world worship, will even be dethroned from her magnificence. Now let me tell you what's funny about this to me. If this God was real, would it not do something to stop that? Why do you have to have people intervene? It's really interesting that they're worried about it. That's what they got to defend. But we see this man named Demetrius, he was a silversmith, and he made such a living just selling these shrines, really expensive shrines. They were completely made of this pure silver. Again, it's a lot of money. What they're saying that this silver was half a shekel of silver. This Roman silver was considered the most pure version of silver. So he's making these shrines out of this really rich silver. And this idea of prosperity that is mentioned here is wealth. He is wealthy by what he is selling. We know what the Bible says about people who choose profit over Jesus. It says, remember the Lord. In Deuteronomy 8, verse 17 and 18, it says, remember the Lord. He gives the power to make one wealthy. We also know in Matthew chapter 13, verse 22, his idea was to keep those who want to do things to keep wealthy over serving God become unfruitful. So we see in this case, this Demetrius was an unfruitful person when it comes to the purposes of God, because all he cared about was profit. He didn't care about what was true and what was not. But we see what is next in verse 28. He says, when they heard this, and they were filled with rage, they began crying out, saying, great is Artemis of the Ephesians. The city was filled with confusion, and they rushed with wrath in one accord into the theater, and dragging along Gaius and Aristarchus, Paul's traveling companions, from Macedonia. If you're wondering why in the world they didn't touch Paul, again, Paul was a Roman. If they had dragged Paul to there, they had been violating the law. But they could grab his buddies because they weren't Romans. And when Paul wanted to go into the assembly, his officer wanted to defend his friends, the disciples would not let him go. Also, some of the Aristarchus were friends of that sent him and repeatedly urged him not to venture to the theater. They said, Paul, don't go to this theater because these people are mad. It says they were enraged. So verse 13 says, so then when they were shouting one thing and some another, the assembly was in confusion. The majority did not know for what reason that he had come. These people were in the theater, didn't know why were we even here. They just were enraged and had all these people there. But verse 33 says that some of the crowd concluded it was Alexander, since the Jews had put him forward. And having motioned with his hand, Alexander was intending to make a defense of the assembly. Because remember, Alexander was a good speaker. But when they recognized that he was a Jew, a single outcry arose from them all, as they shouted about 2 hours, great is Artemis of the Ephesians. And verse 35, after quieting the crowd, the town clerk said, men of Ephesus, what man is there, after all, who does not know that the city of the Ephesians is guarded by the temple of the great Artemis, and our image which fell down from heaven. So since these are since these are undeniable facts, you ought to keep calm and do nothing rash. For you have brought these men here, who are neither robbers of temples nor blasphemers of our gods. It's interesting that they didn't even recognize that they're speaking God. They weren't blaspheming their goddess because this goddess was nothing. So then, if Demetrius and other craftsmen have with them complained against any man, the courts are in session, and the proconsuls are available. Let them bring charges against another. So realize they really had a charge against them. They had to go before a proconsul. And knowing full well, you look at the previous chapters, what happens is proconsul's not going to hear this. Because they don't see anything wrong with them professing Jesus, because in their view, it's not a threat to their way of worship. But in verse 39 it says, if you want anything beyond this, it shall be settled in a lawful assembly. For we are in danger of being accused of a right connection with today's events, since there is no real cause for it, and in connection with this, are unable to account for this sort of meeting. See, whenever you had any kind of assembly, if it wasn't for valid reason, that was against the law. This is why they were in danger, because if this got reported to the proconsul what they were doing, then they could be arrested and jailed for causing a riot, essentially, and causing division, because one of the things that Romans really focus on is Roman peace. So if they were to sit there and cause a riot and report back to the Roman authorities, then they would bring in soldiers, which would cause massive disruption to what they're doing. So this is why afterwards it says, after saying these things, that it dismissed the assembly. But see, notice when Demetrius heard God's word, he could not stop it. Even with their own laws, it's interesting that even the laws of that day were protection for God's truth. You see, we serve an awesome God. His will be accomplished. In spite of what you might see behind you, it's hard to see things before you sometimes, but know that God's way is true. But you might be thinking today, I don't know how this idea of Paul and his third missionary journey in Ephesus and dealing with this concept of evil, what can we learn how this applies to us today? One thing we can learn is we need to practice our Christianity according to Scripture. Because there are many people who do not do that. They do whatever they want to do. They do not base their Christianity off of what the Scripture actually says. They want to base it off of feelings or something it's not necessarily true. It's not saying you can't be someone who has feelings, but you need to make sure the Scripture is your standard, not yourself. Because if you base your standard off of anybody else, anything else other than Scripture, you can get anything. The second thing we see is that false teachers and pretenders will be found out. If you're not teaching truth, the end result, you can take the things that are good and evil, you can test it. Follow what the Scripture says and see what the result is. Follow what some of these people are claiming to be Christians say and see what happens. They'll be found out if it's false. We learn that prophets in the world is more important than truth about God's word. And people will continue to worship false things rather than the truth of God's word. Because they'd rather make money rather than speak God's truth. We know what the Scripture says, if you gain the whole world, what else if you gain the whole world and lose your whole soul? Lose your soul. You gain the whole world and lose your soul. It's not worth it. We also learn, I don't think many people would think about this, good public conduct can protect you. You know, no matter what I see going on in the world, it might upset me, but you're not going to see me be one of those people who are going to protest. Because I want to serve God. And me yelling someone my point, or my point of view, is not going to get people to turn to God. Speaking the truth about God's word, and spirit and truth is what will get people to understand about God's word. Not my opinion yelled violently. But we see that good public conduct protects you. Because we often see, if you go down to a protest, you might be in danger in your life. think about that. But notice that because these Christians here were of good conduct, these people could not do anything to them because they had good conduct in trouble. They conducted themselves. Because they had nothing to fear. They knew they had God on their side. So ask yourself, do people outside of the church see you as gods? Or do they see you as God's people? Or do they see you as one of them? Would they be shocked that you even go to church? You gotta ask yourself that. I say, we need to live as, do you want what is best for you? If you want what is best for you, if you're not a Christian, you become a Christian. If you are a Christian, you need to act like one and follow what God requires us to do. And how you become a Christian is, first thing, you've got to hear the Word of God. The second thing is, you've got to believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, as they did here in this very passage. Once you believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God, you got to confess before men that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. That's a public thing. And you see, as repentance was demonstrated as these people who were practicing mediums, they stopped what they were doing by burning the books that they were even following and started following Jesus. They were repentant. Most importantly, you must be baptized for the remission of your sins. That means you have to have full understanding of what that means that you're doing, and you have to be willing to commit to the Christian lifestyle and serving God. And after you're baptized for the remission of your sins, with a steadfast life, that means church attendance, that means studying the Bible, that means telling others about why you're Christian and acting and living that. That's how you become a Christian. If you have any other needs today, and would like to pray for this church, before you come forward, stand as we sing.